If you didn't know it, YouTube is the #1 destination for streaming music. Apple and Spotify lead the market in terms of getting you paid, but YouTube by far has the most users and is the #1 source of streams. For major artists, YouTube is more of a destination, not a starting point. But it's different for developing artists. YouTube can be a primary source of promotion. This video is about YouTube channels that are driving a massive amount of discovery for new artists. Most of these YouTube channels can't get permission to feature major artists, so they focus on independent and unsigned artists. So, should you use these YouTube music promotion channels? Stick around and find out. I'll also give you some tips on how to protect yourself and avoid scams. And don't submit your music to any of these channels until you finish watching this video. Hey, I'm Todd. I was a longtime label manager for independent label Fearless Records and a former VP of sales at Sony Music. Most of my years in the music industry have been spent developing artists from the ground up. And I'm still doing that today, helping artists earn a living from their music. All the tips you'll find on my channel come from testing thousands of track releases and from my record label experience. Alright, mash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. So, should you use these YouTube music promotion channels? The answer for most of you is yes. These channels have a similar benefit to playlists on Spotify and Apple Music, but there are some concerns you're going to want to know about. Like, what scams are out there? And why is it that major labels avoid putting their artists on these channels? First, I'm going to show you 10 popular YouTube music channels. I've tried to include a good variety. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you can approach them and how to protect yourself. Okay, so here's the list of channels. I'm just going to go over each one of these really quick. Trap Nation obviously started as trap, but now they kind of get into all genres. Wave Paradise, they do all genres. Mr. Suicide Sheep, chill, EDM, indie, and alt. Proximity, they started as EDM, but they do some pop and alternative now. 8D Tunes kind of does a bunch of them, but focuses on pop, EDM, and hip hop. Lo-Fi Girl, chill, study, and sleep music. Indie Air has indie, acoustic, chill, and electronic. And it's a group of different channels here. Alex Rainbird, Koala Control. This one's just indie and folk. This one, Montage Rock. But also I mentioned a bunch of other rock ones like Space and Travel, Blank TV, Dreambound. Notice this exclusive, we'll get into that. Workout music. Don't forget moods and activities. Now I want to get into submitting your music and what to watch out for as far as scams. Know this before you submit. So whose video is being used? Most of these channels create their own video asset, like this one. They'll own this video, but you still monetize the audio. Some of these channels use a really nice visualizer. Sometimes they'll use a photo or a slideshow of photos. But some channels are actually featuring high production official music videos. And some musicians make the mistake of signing away the rights to their music videos. And they paid to create it, but now somebody else owns it. One scam to watch out for is doing video premieres on these channels. What happens is you're anxious to get your video premiered somewhere, you're looking for a partner, but in the process they have you sign a form that basically turns over the rights to the video to them. So they end up owning the exclusive rights to the video, and it can only be on their channel. I mean, can you imagine not being able to put the video on your channel in your own playlist and not being able to sell ads with your video in it? Digital submission forms are what I'd watch out for. You want to do your submissions through email and everything manual so you have a paper trail. Sometimes in these digital forms they'll put legal language, and if you don't read the fine print, you could be signing your rights away. In this video, I want to focus on getting your songs featured on these channels, not necessarily your official music videos. Though if you really want to, you can. Another scam I see in these forums is they're trying to use your music copyright free in their videos, but also they'll let other people, other creators use your music in their videos for free. And you don't want to do that. So who's monetizing and who's not? The goal of these channels, especially the big ones, is to own the videos on their channel and make money. And they need your written permission to do that. Now some of these channels could just be doing it as a hobby and they're not trying to monetize. And in that case, your distributor and your publishing administrator can claim the video under Content ID and you'll get paid for the video on that. But let's assume the majority of them want to monetize, and they won't be able to do that unless they can prove to YouTube in writing that they have a synchronization or sync license from you. Now let's talk about these clearance forms or sync licenses. These channels will almost always send you a clearance form, and they sort of send it quickly like it's a permission slip that just lets them get your video onto YouTube. But it's really allowing them to make money on your video. These can sometimes be a wolf in sheep's clothing, and that's why I'm making this video, to protect you. The clearance form is really a sync license, and it's a gratis sync license, meaning they're not going to have to pay you or your publisher or any of the writers for all the earnings that they made from your video on YouTube. The most important thing about these clearance forms is that you're only granting them a non-exclusive sync for this one-time use on YouTube. Nowhere else, no third parties. But these gratis sync licenses will allow them to use your music and keep the money earned from views. Now that's not all bad. In fact, for the promotional exposure they give you, let's say that's fine. They're entitled to earn money in exchange for exposing you to a large audience of potential fans. And remember, you still own the audio, and they're not monetizing your audio any other place than on this video. As long as they don't prevent you from making money on videos on your own channel or putting the video on somebody else's channel, then it can be fine. And also, just make sure they're not giving away your music copyright free to any other creators on YouTube. Now look, I'm not trying to scare you away from these channels. I want everybody to win. But I just know that some of them are taking advantage of your ignorance. Major label artists don't usually partner with these channels. And the reason for this might not be what you think. It's really not a rights or licensing issue, because even when the majors do partner with these channels, they insist on using their own document that protects them. The real reason you don't find major labels partnering with these channels that often is because the majors have full confidence that their artists are going to become very popular through other methods. They're avoiding a situation in the future where their artist gets really big. Let's say it's on a totally different song that gets 100 million views. Obviously, all of their other songs and catalog are going to rise with that hit, and they don't want to share the money with any other third parties. Is there a downside to using these channels? If you're a new artist and trying to gain a fan base, there really aren't that many downsides, unless you're signing your rights away unknowingly. So how do you go about reaching out to these channels? You should research the channels in your genre and put the contact details on a spreadsheet, and only consider channels that you know your music will sound good on. Nobody should be submitting for all 10 of the channels that I mentioned. Here's how you can get the email address for each channel. Go to the About tab, and then scroll down here, and not in every case, but in most, they have this email unlock here. Some channels tell you to email them for submissions. Just remember to be careful about their submission process and forms that have fine print. If you run into a situation where you don't like something in the agreement, but you still really want to work with the channel, you can take a non-confrontational approach and just redline or cross out the things in the agreement that you don't like, sign it, and send it back. This is why I always say use a paper form and email so you have a paper trail. By crossing these things out, you're firmly but nicely telling them, hey, I want to work with you, but you can't fool me. If you run into a channel that you really want to work with, but they still insist on an exclusive, try to limit it to 3 months, so that when it dies down, you can freely promote your own version on your own channel. When you reach out by email, just keep it simple. Tell them you like their channel, you think your music is a good fit, and then give them an audio link. And make sure it's just the audio. They get tons of submissions, they don't want to read a lot, they just want to listen and make a quick decision. And, of course, they want to get you that gratis sync license too. Seriously though, keep it friendly. You're looking for a win-win. Remember, you're trying to build a relationship and a partnership that lasts. That way, they're there for you each time you release a new track. And if you get rejected, don't get discouraged. You can always book a YouTube TrueView ad on their channel and hit their same audience. You actually might end up hitting more of their audience that way than if they were just to release the video in their normal weekly feed. Okay, let me know what questions you have. And if you like this video, you should check out my other video, Should I Release My Song and Video on the Same Day? I really appreciate you checking out my channel. I hope I can help you on your way to making music your career. Take care.